lovely people, Nina here. So this week for my video I decided that I would review a few books. And the first one that I was going to talk about, because I finished it at the end of March, so a lot of these finished at the end of March, beginning of April, and I just never got around to reviewing them. But the first one that I figured I would talk about is Pet by Awake Emezi. I think is how you say it. I hope it's how you say it. And I think this is, I want to say this is YA. And it's fantasy. It follows a girl named Jam, and she brings her mom's painting to life, and it follows a town where they said they've eradicated all of these monsters, and Jam still feels like that there are monsters out there, but they say the angels are like, no, they've protected us, there's no more monsters. Jam still feels like there's monsters out there. Her parents say no. So she teams up with her friend Redemption, and together they go and try to find out if there are still monsters in this town with Pet. And Pet is the creature that comes out of the mom's painting, which is like the fantasy element. And so it's Pet and Jam and Redemption, and they go seeking these monsters and find out that sometimes maybe the monsters can be closer than you might think. And so it's a whole story of them and their like adventure. And this was so good and so well written. The writing is just phenomenal, and for like a book that's maybe for younger readers, like, well, it's YA, but I would say like maybe middle grade, it's just so good, and her writing was so good, and it was just like cute and just amazingly well done. And there's a second one that goes with it that's about Jam's mom and how she creates like the paintings and how her paintings come to life and like the start of that. So I kind of want to read that as well. So if I come across that in like a bookstore or whatever, or the library even, I'll have to look for that. But so that was the first one I read. 5 stars, 10 out of 10. No notes. Was amazing. Very cute. If you want like a little bit of a shorter read, that is a good one. The next one that I read is A Winter in New York. This is the one that I did not like. This is by Josie Silver. I read One Day in December by Josie Silver, and I absolutely did not like it. That I have a whole review on that, but that was just a no-go. Did not like it. This one was a little bit better. This one follows a girl named Iris, and she moves to New York from England when her mom passes away, and she knows that her mom at one point lived in New York, and so she kind of wants to follow like her mom's footsteps and just make a life for herself in New York. And so that's what she does, and she meets a man named Gio, and Gio owns this Italian shop where they're really famous for gelato, except for they're missing the gelato recipe. They're like scrambling to try to figure out the gelato recipe, and Iris has it because her mom has it. Her mom had it and gave it to her and said, don't give this to anyone else. But they have to like, she doesn't want to tell him, essentially. And so the whole plot follows them trying to figure out this gelato recipe, her not telling Gio that she has the gelato recipe because no one else is supposed to have it or know about it, and her adventures in New York, I guess, is like the rest of it. And it also talks about her ex in this, and overall I found this kind of boring. I'm sorry. I know so many people loved it, but I just found Iris's like plotline kind of flat and boring, and I have this for a while, and so I was like, I should read it, and I was just, it was not for me. I was bored by it, and it felt like Iris's like big dramatic like issues were not really issues. Like, it feels like it could have been resolved. I don't know. It was a lot of build up for not a lot of anything. It wasn't for me. I thought some of the writing fell flat and I was kind of bored by it. So that was A Winter in New York. A little romance novel. The next one that I read, I'll go in order, was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This one, I absolutely loved this so much. Like, this is maybe one of my favorite books that I've read all year. This is so amazing. This follows a girl named Adeline, and she makes a promise or like wishes in the dark in the woods, and she gets cursed with people forgetting who she was and who she is and never remembering her, but also she is like eternal, and she is cursed with living forever but people not knowing who she is. And so it follows her story and her struggle with like how she manages to survive and live when no one remembers her and people constantly forgetting her and reliving her life over and over and over again. And it all kind of is like her struggle with meeting people and managing her life and how she tries to bargain for money and dealing with not being remembered until she meets Henry, and Henry is the first person that remembers her, and she has to try to figure out why Henry knows who she is and how they fit into each other's lives. And the writing in this is just it's just so amazing with her descriptions and the imagery, and it just pulls you in chapter after chapter. And I read this so fast, but like not fast enough, if that makes sense. I like wanted to consume it all in one sitting but also savor it, and yeah, it was just amazing, and I will be rereading this. 5 stars, 10 out of 10. This one, like 2 stars. I was just bored by it. The last book I read is First Time Caller, which follows a girl named Lucy, and she's the main character, and her daughter calls into this radio show to talk about her mom's lack of love life, which is Lucy. And Lucy like freaks out that her daughter is calling into this radio show, and it ends up with her going on this radio show and like basically doing a virtual like dating show via radio to find her perfect match. And while she's on this radio dating show, she meets a boy named Aiden Valentine, and he's the host of the show. And the book follows their like slow connection. I don't want to spoil it, but you kind of get the hint right away. And how they kind of end up together. Sorry, spoiler. But this book follows the same plot of boy gets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back. And my only issue with this is that I felt that the plot line of boy loses girl was kind of weak, and the writing didn't seem like as strong. I feel like there could have been more like build up to that. It just felt kind of like, I don't know, they needed a way to like separate them. This is by B.K. Borison, by the way. I don't know if I said that, but I feel like the writing, she was like, oh wait, boy has to lose girl, and then she kind of just put this plot line in there, and it felt kind of like it didn't, I don't know if it was like it didn't fit, or it just felt like it needed more time with it, and it needed that, like, part needed a stronger plot line. Overall though, it was cute. I would maybe read this again. like 3.5, maybe 4. I'm gonna say 4. Yeah, a solid 4 out of 5. Not one of my favorite romance novels that I read, but definitely better than this one. Yeah, it was cute. There were a few parts in the book, especially towards the end, where I was kind of like, this could use more revision, almost. But yeah. So those are all the books that I've read in March and April. Let me know if you've read any of these below, along with Pet, which I'll put on the screen, and what you thought. And yeah, if you have any book recommendations for me, I would love that. You can also leave that down below. So yeah, that's all for this week's video. I love you all, and I will see you next week with a brand new video. As always, free Palestine. Bye!